HeroMarine to find the same amount of PVTs of Creator.
100%. We'll see if he's coming in prepared. Down here in the bottom right side of the map, representing mouse sports for over a decade, it's HeroMarine.
The only Darren that signed up for the open bracket, and he's still alive and kicking, but can he survive against this man? A best of 3 do or die for both players. Representing Abydos, this is Creator.
Over the last couple of years, they've had a few run-ins. Creator has come out on top a little more often than HeroMarine, but they've always been very hard-fought and close matches. And if you go back a few years, 2021, HeroMarine was all over it. He crushed Creator in that year, but the last year and a half, Creator has found some success. Let's see if that continues here. This map pool is something the Protoss players have been a little vocal about. This one here, Babylon, very short, cramped map, gonna favor HeroMarine's aggression. If he can win this map, it'll be very bad for HeroMarine because map 2 is Altitude, a very large map, which Creator is really comfortable on.
No, for sure. I think it's safe to say that if Gabe wants to win this best of 3, which of course he does, this is kind of a must-win. Now, once in a blue moon, we have the crazy series where the Terrans win on the Protoss maps and the Protoss players win on the Terran maps. But with Game 2 being on Altitude, especially with how strong of a macro player Creator can be, I'm with you. I feel like if Gabe wants to bring this one home, he's going to have to win here on home ground. And actually kind of an interesting opening here by Gabe. I'd say this is one of the very few maps out there where if he wants to go, you know, one barracks fast expand, he could have absolutely done it with a little bit of a ramp that goes into the natural. But Gabe decides to just get that factory ASAP of the double refinery opening.
Definitely going to be a lot about denying information from the Protoss player in these early stages and trying to catch him off guard. As a Protoss, it's not like the double gas opening in of itself puts fear into you. It's the many options that come off it and trying to find a middle ground that doesn't leave you exposed. Creator going for Warp Gate and an Adept to start out. Looks like a Twilight Council opening for the Protoss most likely. Could be a Robo as well. That one has been sneaking back into the meta a little bit. And that first Reaper, going to be completely denied from scouting.
And of course, yesterday we were focusing on the winner stage, so we didn't really get to see a lot of these players. And it is important to mention that, sure, Gabe got here by playing only TVP. Creator actually got to this phase in the tournament without playing a single PVT. It was mostly PvP and a single PvC in the mix against Mixu. So we don't even kind of know what kind of shape Creator brought in this matchup coming into this weekend.
Interestingly, double Reaper production out of HeroMarine. He's going hard on the Reaper Hellion right now. I doubt he continues after the second and third Reaper, but still 3 Reaper, 2 Hellion. A hefty pressure that could find damage, but with 2 Adepts and a Stalker out, Creator does seem like he's definitely not taking any chances. There's no shield battery, but I don't think you really need it.
I don't know. I don't hate it. I think I'd rather build a shield battery than lose 3 probes, and because you just don't have too many probes in the beginning of the game, so that really does hurt your economy. But the good news is that Creator does have that wall off, right? If he didn't have a wall off and the Reapers could have hopped into the main base and Hellions could poke in the natural, then it gets very dicey. And at least he's working on a bit of a wall up, but Gabe's gonna go for it, and these units can absolutely gun down an Adept rather quickly. First Adept takes a lot of damage, it will fall in the end. So far it's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Creator. HeroMarine will get the second Adept as well, and now he's just going to ignore this 1 Stalker. And 2 Hellions is still something you absolutely need to respect as a Protoss.
Oh, the probes almost actually managed to finish that Hellion off. Creator, though, he's got the Reaper back in the natural as well, causing a bit of a scramble. Great micro on the workers, but that Hellion slips away from this round, does go down. I don't think a single worker fell.
Now that's actually a very good probe micro. That could have been a whole lot worse because these Hellions were able to get quite a few shots off. It's still obviously a bit of lost mining time, but we can absolutely call that a successful defense by Creator, because I think a lesser Protoss there pick would still end up losing 3 or 4 workers.
100%, very clean. And now Creator is looking to go 4 gas. Looks like it's going to be Blink up into some higher tech. Delaying the third base a little, a very safe progression for Creator. And the Raven coming out for HeroMarine, very standard follow-up into the 3 racks in the stim. I actually wouldn't mind seeing Storm as the follow-up. I know that's pretty rare from here. Usually you expect to see a Robo Bay, but just because the Raven's so common, I feel like feedback on the Raven is so good, whereas just 1 or 2 interference matrices on this map can be game-ending.
Yeah, and even though Gabe can obviously macro, we know him for the early aggression in TVP, right? And how excellent he is in just getting a Protoss out of a game in the first 10 minutes. Well, that's where maybe Storm can shine a bit more than Colossus, because Gabe is an absolute master in executing some of these Marine Tank Raven pushes against Colossus. But against Storm, you're kind of forced to play a bit different. So I don't hate it, but we'll keep an eye on if Creator actually wants to go down that route, and apparently pick he will go down that route, as there is the Templar Archives, and I honestly think that's a pretty good call against HeroMarine.
Yeah, this is a good way to mix things up, and I mean, the ambush power of the Storm Drop is next level. If you manage to catch them by surprise, that's great. And look at that. HeroMarine saying, where's the third base? What's going on? He's paranoid. He's building double bunker on the natural. It's not like that's the worst thing in the world. It's only a couple hundred minerals, but it's good that Creator has kept him in the dark. And of course, there is actually non-stop probing behind this. The third Nexus might be late, but when it comes up, Creator's going to transfer a lot of probes over there. We'll see Psystorm on the way as the next step. And HeroMarine here, very unsure about what's coming.
It's very important that Creator doesn't end up losing any Stalkers here, because he won't have too many units with the way that he's currently playing. So getting a few SCVs, causing a bit of lost mining time, all of this is perfect, but he can absolutely not afford to make a mistake with the Warp Prism or the Stalkers. So far, so good. Creator is actually weathering the storm here incredibly well in the first 6 minutes. And I'm honestly really starting to feel where this game is going for him, especially because Gabe has no idea what he's going up against. It's not just the timing of the third base that might be a bit confusing to HeroMarine as he does stim forward. We need to be careful with that Raven, by the way, Creator. If you take more damage, then the Raven could always drop another turret. But HeroMarine still does not know this is a storm opening pick.
No, he doesn't. That's a problem, because if he knew, he might be able to sneak Medivacs out the top of the map.
Yep.
If you can sneak a double drop into the main while pushing the third, Storm really struggles to deal with that. As you pointed out, you just don't have that many units. It's going to be a single 8 Marine drop to the north. A Raven comes in around behind the third. Shield Battery is nearby. HeroMarine's going to start digging for some damage.
I'm starting to feel the setup now a bit more for Gabe, because I think that single drop is excellent. And now obviously with this Raven flying into the natural, you're going to have a pretty good idea of what's waiting for you there. I think one High Templar was spotted. I think the Archon was spotted. Second turret is not going to get a whole lot done, but an 8 Marine drop should absolutely have some potential, because the Stalkers are still chilling on the other side of the map. And the Stalkers are the unit that Creator really needs to deal with a drop like this.
Indeed, they do pick off 1 or 2 Marines, but look at that. Marines unloading in the corner of the base. Stalker, Zealot, and Immortal are nearby, so at least he's got that with the shield battery. And no damage taken, but the distraction is where the damage goes down. 3 Stalkers make it 4 going down in the middle of the map.
That's problematic. Creator losing 8 army supply there, minus 4 Stalkers, makes it harder to kite. HeroMarine is dropping a third CC behind this, so he's not ultra committed, he's not ultra all in. He's just starting to find some damage, but he knows that Storm is out, and he's gonna have to make damn sure that he doesn't clump up his units too much. It's gonna be hard for Creator, I think, to get on top of these tanks. He's gonna try anyway. Warp Prism goes down, High Templar goes down, a single Storm went off, but that was a nightmare of a fight for Creator.
The Immortals were stuck behind the pylon at the top of the fight as well. They couldn't get in range. The drop comes in behind at the same time. The Siege tank barely survives on red hit points, losing his Prism, losing his Immortals. The core of his army, all of his tech falls. And you see why this map is so claustrophobic. Protoss players, they end up playing on it, but the slightest of mistakes, and HeroMarine is just too good. He capitalizes so fast.
Big Gabriel does Big Gabriel things. As Creator does manage to clean up the second tank, but his army is so tiny. There's a lot of reinforcements coming to the bottom left side, and I don't think that Creator can really hang in there a whole lot longer. He was not allowed to lose that Warp Prism. He was supposed to get way more value out of Storm. Look at the amount of red that's heading towards the third base of Creator. Don't think there's anything he can do here, Piggy.
No, 1 Immortal, 3 Stalkers, 5 Zealots. Each one of those needs to do some heavy lifting to hold on. Dropping High Templar, but it doesn't even have the energy for Storm yet, and Big Gabe is large and in charge. Overwhelming right now, and he's just got the units pre-spread. Zealots and Stalkers in low numbers, no match for Bio, dropping Widow Mines on his face. And that's going to push the Protoss out of this game.
Some nice final explosions there as Big Gabriel will continue his reign of terror in this matchup. 4th series in a row that he goes up against the Protoss. He takes the 1-0 lead in a game that didn't even start off all that fantastic. But Gabe just does Gabe things. Big, I often call him the best TVP player in the world in the first 10 minutes. I think he can live up to that once more.
No big game-changing disruptor shots or anything like that happening at that early stage. He just looked clean, and even without knowing exactly what was happening. Remember, he built 2 safety bunkers on the natural. He was like, oh, I don't know what's going on, if there's some big all-in coming. But then he said, okay, let's sneak the Raven across through the bottom, Marine drop around the top, neither of which found massive damage, but it was just solid. He pushed at the same time through the middle, caught the Stalkers. He set that push up in a really nice position, and I guess we could be critical of Creator. Maybe he should have, he should have pulled back and flown the Prism in from a different angle. It's always that moment where you think, well, I got to get him before those tanks siege up. You can see that terrain stopped him from dropping. He had to move in too close to the bio, and HeroMarine just clicked on it.
You mentioned the Immortals there, Pick. So painful to see those two Immortals stuck behind a Stalker. It's something that Protoss players often do, where it's like, if I just go immediately, this might actually go kind of well for me, even though I've got the better economy, because I don't think the Terran is quite ready yet. But the Terran was already ready. The tanks were already sieged up. HeroMarine was clearly splitting his units, anticipating the War Prism to come in. Creator thought he saw an opportunity, but there really wasn't one. And Gabe just does Gabe things there, man. You cannot make a mistake in the early game against this man. And Creator did a lot of things right. He just took a bad fight.
One bad fight, and we always talk about Storm being the most explosive splash damage you can go for. It can annihilate a Terran army when you use it correctly, but the Prism is a little fragile, and if you ever don't land those Storms in the right way, suddenly your army starts to crumble and you can't replenish them. Like with a Colossus, you can stutter it back behind a shield battery. It's always consistent damage. Storm, it's one and done. And this man, he avoided it very well in map 1. Now going on to his opponent's map pick. It is a gigantic map. It's going to be a very different pace here. Representing Mouse Sports in the bottom left, it's HeroMarine.
And in the top right side of altitude, we are looking at the main base of the man who now needs to win the next 2 games in a row. Otherwise, he will be eliminated of the ESL Summer SC2 Masters. Representing Abydos, make some noise for Creator.
An emotional player who wears his heart on his sleeve. We've seen him ecstatic in victory and absolutely, utterly destroyed in defeat. Creator is a player you can't help but feel a bit of empathy for, a bit of excitement, a bit of anticipation. But this is his map pick, and this is one which I think is just fascinating in this matchup because the bases are spread so far apart. It's very difficult to figure out what is the right balance between, you know, aggression and defense. I feel like Terran frontal pushes are very weak. They take a long time to get across the map. But the multi-drops, the Widowmine drops, we have seen devastating effects from those. If your defense is open for even a moment, if you aren't right on top of that map vision, and that's a lot of map to cover with your vision, things can fall apart very quickly for the Protoss.
Yep, I wouldn't even necessarily say that this really is a great Protoss map. It's just if you are confident in the late game, if you feel that you are excellent in splitting up your army, creating that map vision you need to play the 3-4 base scenarios, then it can become an excellent Protoss map because of the amazing Zealot run-by potential. DTs can absolutely shine on a large map like this. It's just pretty damn difficult to stabilize on 4 bases, but obviously Creator is one of the very best in the world. He's probably been here many times. I do kind of expect him to maybe play Stargate here, Pick. I really wouldn't hate that. I just think it's a great map to play some Stargate. Even if HeroMarine is great against Stargate openings, I still think on a large map like this, you want to have something fast flying around to give you all the info you need.
No, I love it. I always feel like Showtime is one of the best players on this map, known for his, you know, Stargate double, triple Oracle openings. Creator is indeed going for a Stargate. Did skip Warp Gate, the Stargate starts, but interestingly, Reactor first into 2 Reapers. Out of HeroMarine should be able to scout that Stargate for sure if he jumps up the ledge. And if Creator came across with his first Adept or 2 to pressure, those Reapers could sneak by and do damage, but it looks like Creator's in a fully defensive setup.
Gabe, his spider senses are tingling. Maybe he just knew this was going to be a Stargate opening and he said, you know, it's pretty good against Stargate triple CC. I am not in any danger of dying against a couple of Blink Stalkers or a weird proxy gate in the beginning of the game. And it's very important for Creator that he doesn't keep this Oracle around defensively for too long, right? Because if you're like, oh, I just want to make sure that I don't lose any probes. No, he needs to find out it's triple CC ASAP. HeroMarine loses one of the Reapers immediately, and obviously letting this Reaper go in that deep means the second Reaper goes down as well. It's not Oracle, it's Phoenix. I don't hate it, Piggy, as you know. But it is important to immediately realize that Gabe is playing triple CC because Phoenixes are not necessarily the best units against triple CC openings.
Indeed. I think the moment he sees what's going on, Creator might completely stop Phoenix production or stop at most 3 Phoenix, a little squad you can harass with. Because HeroMarine is going to have 3 bases up as quickly as possible. Non-stop worker production, and then mass bio coming out with the 3 racks. This is a style where, as the Protoss, you need to just ramp up your economy. You've got to go hard. Drop a 3rd Nexus, go for maybe double Forge, or tech towards Colossus immediately. Colossus is almost, I feel like, non-negotiable in this scenario. Like, against the 3 racks, 3cc, you basically need something that can deal with large amounts of Marine Marauder.
Phoenix Zealot is great against the quick factory openings, but in this scenario, Phoenix Zealot is just not very good. Creator indeed is going to drop the very quick robo, will go up to 3 bases, can still get scary though. No matter how large this map is and no matter how quickly Creator has scouted this, HeroMarine is going to have access to a lot of Marines early on, and there's honestly always that scary moment as a Protoss where it's like, will my first Colossus be out in time? Because what if the Terra moves out a bit earlier than usual? The 2 Phoenixes, they don't really do a whole lot against 15 Marines.
Third Phoenix does start up, so he's going to keep them just for harassment. Their job really is more than anything to pick off the occasional SCV, and indeed the double gas going on the natural for Creator. Robo Bay needs to start
ASAP.
quickly. Yeah, any delay on that can be a huge problem, and yet he's not focusing on it right now.
This is 10 seconds or so going by as he bleeds out one of the Adepts as well. He goes for an Immortal first. We really need to see that Robotics Bay go down, and there it is finally. But even those 10-15 seconds could become a very big deal if Gabe goes for a slightly earlier move out than usual. Because if you look at the army right now, there's a lot of firepower in this Terran army, and the Protoss army is honestly incredibly useless. The Adepts don't have Glaives, the Stalkers don't have Blink, and 3 Phoenixes stand no chance pick. Delaying that Robo Bay could honestly become a very big problem. Having one Immortal is nice to deal with some of these Marauders, but this is a terrifying move out.
Is there a shield battery up at the third? I'm not quite sure. Phoenix will delay the factory, pick off a Marine or 2. There is at least one shield battery there. Sentry does not have Guardian Shield energy yet. The Immortal is out. If it focuses the Marauders, the Phoenix can take care of 2 or 3 Marines, and I guess it's enough gateway units. I do think Creator can hold here, but it's a little dicey, and that mineral line is exposed.
Yeah, I think Gabe should just go on the right side of this Nexus. That's so far away from this shield battery. The Protoss army is really going to struggle. Gabe didn't know about that battery, but he is indeed staying on the right side of the Nexus, and you can really see that Creator has a very difficult time. Can that shield battery heal up the Nexus?
Oh!
That's what I wonder about, is the Immortal's way too far forward. Gets stacked, gets picked up. We do wipe in a couple of additional Protoss units. The Phoenixes will finally show up, and this is going to be good enough in the end for Creator. That got pretty scary pick, but he survives.
I really like the Stalker and Sentry preservation. Creator was pulling back the weak units really systematically. Losing the Immortal, not great. Losing 2 probes, not great. But overall, a fantastic holding.
Yeah.
Creator now finds himself in the economic lead, going double Forge. He's got more Sentries coming out. His first Colossus is popping. Creator makes his way past the scariest part of the game.
I kind of feel that if Gabe would have just kept running towards the right a little bit, I think he could have taken out that Nexus, because I think that battery was too far away to heal up the Nexus, so that means we're not going to have an overcharge healing up that Nexus. And it took a lot of damage. Like, if you see the amount of hit points that went down on that Nexus, that really wouldn't have taken a whole long time to gun it down with all those Marauders and Marines.
Yeah, I mean, with that remaining hit points, it would have been about the same time as to take out maybe 2 Immortals, right? Really not that much at all, but now Creator is healthily in the lead on the economy. He's got 1/1 upgrades. Twilight Council only now starting. Keep in mind, there's no charge, there's no blink, right? So there is a big missing piece of tech for Creator. On the other hand, where's the starport? It's just starting there for HeroMarine, that extra one. You've got the Ghost Academy as well. Actually, that is the second starport, right? Wow, that's pretty darn fast going for the Viking. Does that mean he's skipping 2-2? He must be committing pretty hard to a big 1-1 tech army.
There is a small chance that he's worried about the good old Colossus Archon attack, right? With a couple of Zealots, where the Protoss does not go blink, and they just show up with 3 Colossus, a War Prism, a couple of Archons, and you do really want to delay the armory and delay the 2-2 a little bit in that specific scenario, because it's a lot better to get a few Ghosts to deal with the Archons and Sentries, and you obviously need a decent amount of Vikings to make sure you have an answer for the Colossus. So I don't hate it what HeroMarine is doing here.
Phoenix flying back, 4th base on the way for Creator. He's adding a Templar Archives. The problem is, yeah, as you said, Archons coming in, they're really a very good way to spend your gas when the Ghosts are low in number. But if those Ghosts come out early enough, you can sometimes dump 1,000 gas, 2,000 gas into Archons. The EMPs make them disappear, and it's one of the best value trades for Terran available. Definitely something Creator has to keep his eye on, as he is not getting a second Robo, not going for any extra splash damage tech. It's going to be all about the Colossus and the gateway units for now.
Take control of the Xel'Naga Watchtower, both of them even. This is also a scary moment for Creator, where you obviously still don't have a whole lot of mobility in your army. He indeed stopped building Phoenix very early on. What's also important to keep in mind, by the way, Big, is that there isn't that much anti-air. These Stalkers are nowhere near as terrifying as a whole bunch of Stalkers with attack upgrades and blink. It's going to be difficult. Creator is basically saying, I'm going to play a very defensive game, and I really don't want to move out anytime soon, because if he does move out, I think he's going to get absolutely slaughtered, but I'm sure he knows that.
2-2 on the way, charge as well. I really feel like Disruptors starting to get added in would be great, but he's actually going Immortals instead. So Immortals and Archons to round out this Colossus Gateway army. We've seen this style before. Creator does enjoy just hanging here on 73 probes and getting a massive force. But there's two things we have to watch. You already pointed out that the Vikings taking the Colossus out without the Stalkers really doing much to answer. Big problem. The other one is where those EMPs land, because a shield battery is good, but an overcharge does not deal with EMP landing in the center of that army.
I'm very happy to see the Creator drop the second robo, by the way. You were alluding to that earlier, but I wouldn't even hate a third robo at this point because I'm still not truly feeling this Protoss army. If the 2-2 upgrades kick in, it's going to be good, but it seems that Creator is also not quite feeling his army as he's going to drop a couple of sentries immediately. HeroMarine looks at that army and says that can't possibly be everything. There is no bunker at the third base of the Terran, so we've got a little bit of picture-in-picture happening as a couple of Zealots are running into the middle line. One Colossus takes a lot of damage, will fall immediately, and the other Colossus is already somewhat low on HP. It just feels that the Terran army is completely overwhelming the Protoss force here. We need those disruptors, we need to land a Nova.
I mean, the spreads did actually bait out a lot of stims. The Colossus are roasting these Marines, Roddy. And that was actually an amazing defense by Creator. The pre-spread there, the patience. Even though the Vikings hammered his Colossus, he actually baited 2 or 3 stims out. The Zealot run-by came in and slaughtered the work account at the same time. Down 24 workers, HeroMarine still has an army advantage, but with that economy deficit, he feels like he's going to need to go again.
There was so much Terran at one point and so little Protoss that it looked absolutely terrifying for Creator, but he did a great job in not just moving with the Colossus, but actually targeting the Marines.
Yeah.
And at one point he got a couple of very roasty shots off, and obviously since Gabe never dropped the armory, now HeroMarine is in trouble, because the next fight is obviously going to take place with the Protoss having 2-2 upgrades, and HeroMarine still working with 1-1. He's going to try to make up for that by cranking out a whole bunch of Liberators, which I think is quite smart, but eventually Gabe is going to have to drop that armory.
Only 48 workers for Gabe. He does restart SCV production, but it's a long road to a healthy economy. 51 workers does not feel good for a Terran at this stage of the game. Creator is still up on 75. The Colossus Immortal count continues to grow. Sentries always in the mix with Guardian Shield. It's these little details that separates Creator from a lot of other Protoss players. They often forget to have that Guardian Shield in the late game, or they miss the kind of mix, but he's always got enough Immortals to wreck any Marauders that are trying to tank up front. He's got the Colossus focusing the Marines. The units are spreading, making it really hard for EMP to land. And this is why you don't see his army just crumble in these fights.
That was actually an insanely impressive hold, because at one point there was so much Gabe and it felt like there wasn't really a whole lot of Creator. But obviously the batteries were doing their thing. The Colossus survived just long enough, even if one died on the right side. And eventually the Marauder count just wasn't really there anymore. And with just Marines, you can't really stim forward. Gabe is not done yet though. He's going to try his luck again, but it's important to keep in mind that this time around, Creator will have better upgrades as one Disruptor gets tagged and gets picked off immediately. Gabe, just like Clem, is very good when it comes to European Terrans in avoiding those Purification Novas.
Oh, big army flanking in from the left. Those double disruptors could be massive. Oh my lord, huge shots all over Gabe's army. Creator with a fantastic flank ties up the series.
What a flank there. Gabe may be very good in avoiding them, but he didn't see them coming from the left side, and Creator with an impressive game 2. Solid run by as well during that big fight, because I have the feeling that Gabe was probably a bit distracted dealing with Zealots in the main base, in the natural, where Creator just did a great job first warping in a few Zealots on the left side, running those into the third, and then still flying that Prism into the main base while holding the fourth base on the right side of the map. Actually a very impressive game by Creator, because we know how hard it is to beat Gabe in this matchup.
Yeah, this was a dicey moment in the early mid-game, and you could see the way he's pulling back these Stalkers and Sentries. Really nice preservation of the high gas units and letting Gabe's army get exhausted. And look at this fight. It looks so scary, but look at how many units are in the top left. They only come in when the army's already double stimmed, already the EMPs have been exhausted, and the Guardian Shields were always there, only finally exhausting at the end of these Colossus shots that you talked about, Roddy, my lord.
He's ignoring the Marauders there, and he's just going for the Marines. That was incredibly well done, because Colossus are not that great against Marauders, but if they are able to fire at only Marines, well, then the Terran numbers will start dropping real quick. We had the flanking Disruptors, wasn't sure if the Novas were going to go off in time, but in the end they were, and that otherwise could have still been dicey for Creator. Even if you're up 2 upgrades, it's hard to fight into a bunch of Liberators that are already sieged up, but just an excellent game by our Korean Protoss, who shows us that he will not go down without a fight here. That means it's time to head into a game 3. Still do or die for both of these nerds. Pretty fun series so far, Pick.
Yeah, this has been a good one. I mean, both players looking very strong on their maps. We see that Gabe's style, when he wins, it does lead to a dominating victory often, right? Because of the way he's so aggressive, whereas Creator, it's about absorbing wave upon wave of aggression, and then eventually he gets large and in charge. And I mean, he didn't even really attack, right? Other than a few Zealots running in, he won simply by blocking HeroMarine's attacks, and that's what got him the victory.
But that was so much harder than what it looked, because even defending the third base the very first time,
yeah,
a pretty underwhelming Protoss army. So this is an excellent game by our Korean Protoss. Let's see if this man can still move on to the next round here of the ESL Summer SC2 Masters. Representing Mouse Sports, we're all tied up, top left side. This is HeroMarine.
And down here, some fantastic disruptor shots to wrap up the last game. Can he turn this series around completely? In the bottom right side of the blue, it's Creator. About a decade after his initial peak, where Creator made it to the World Championship Grand Finals in 2012, the last year or two of his career has been a highlight. A lot of players out there were saying, you know, we think he's probably seen his best days as a player. It's going to be a slow wind down. And Creator said, hold my beer. I'm gonna make it to GSL finals. I'm gonna be getting to the top of big championships. And he's been showing just a completely different level of play that we didn't think was going to be possible out of him.
And what's so impressive about it is not just that he was in the World Championship Finals 10 years ago, but that was basically a completely different game pick. Like, to be good in Wings of Liberty and to be good in Heart of the Swarm is absolutely not the same as being a good Legacy of the Void player in the year 2023. So it's mighty impressive that Creator is still here, duking it out with the very best. And seriously, it's just one of the very best Protoss players we have. He eliminated Hero from the open stage yesterday. We didn't get to see those games, but what kind of an impressive victory is that? A PvP victory on land over Hero with Tournament Live on the line. This really goes to show that this man absolutely still has it.
His ability to just defend as well. There were shield batteries, often 3 or 4 at each base in that last game. He's a master of defense. Here on Crestman, it is a map where you do have some fantastic drop paths, good multi-prong angles, and I'm very curious to see how HeroMarine approaches it. Are we going to see a stiff timing push? Is it just going to be more of the kind of bio mine and macroing on up? Reaper comes in for a scout.
Yeah, for Gabe, this is obviously very scary as well, because he doesn't quite know if Creator is willing to go for a 4-gate Blink Stalker all-in. And we've seen Terran players get very good against that build, but it's still one of the things that you need to confirm early on as a Terran. So obviously for Gabe, it's a pretty terrifying game to play here. This map is quite good for that 4-gate Blink Stalker War Prism opening. And if Gabe thinks like, okay, I would like to do a double or a triple Widowmine drop, those builds do not do very well against that Protoss aggression. So I wouldn't hate it if HeroMarine would take a note out of the playbook of Clem and just go for a single Widowmine drop just to get some information on what he's going up against this game. And that's why keeping this Reaper alive, specifically in this scenario, is more important than in almost any other TVP scenario.
The ability to see when that third base goes down, if those Stalkers are coming across the map, and potentially even just getting in to confirm the gateway count is essential. Creator is going for a sentry before Twilight. So this Blink is a little delayed. If HeroMarine commits hard to a multiple Widowmine drop, there will not be Blink available in time to stop it. But a second and third gateway go down, and that hallucination is going to come in, giving him a lot of information. He's going to be seeing no add-ons, multiple Widowmines hanging out in the base. Creator should be very prepared, and if you see this as the Terran, do you lean out of it, or do you still commit to the Widowmine drop?
I definitely think you're still going to try, because obviously it takes a little while before Blink is done, but you're just careful. I think in a weird way that hallucinated Phoenix Scout is a tiny bit of a scout for HeroMarine as well, where it's like, he went for a sentry early on, so it's not pure Stalkers at least. Like what Gabe is doing here is definitely somewhat risky, the triple Widowmine drop, because if Creator would have gone for one more gateway and indeed be aggressive, it could have been gnarly, but Gabe did whatever he could with the Reaper, at least to get some sort of information on. And I think the sentry, in a weird way, confirmed in that it's okay for him to go about this. Creator does not know yet about this medevac, and all the Stalkers are in the center of the map. So Creator is going for a very aggressive defense at first, but he does warp in Stalkers in the main base, and that's an excellent choice. And it needs to keep that third Stalker there, Pick.
Yeah, those Stalkers a little bit out of position. That pylon blocks him from getting in there. He only gets one volley on the medevac. Great micro by HeroMarine there. Nice burrow, unburrow. He's going to deny a bit more mining. He's also going to get a Widowmine in the natural at the same time. Does get 2 probes so far. Mining time on both bases. Reaper's here as well, joining up with this pressure. And good handling by Creator. He's not going to take catastrophic damage, but it's a big disruption.
This is already adding up though, Piggy. He didn't lose too many probes, but he lost a lot of mining time from the main base, from the natural. And Gabe is an absolute monster in following these kinds of harass attempts up with a strong, dedicated push. And we can see that in the income advantage for a split second there. HeroMarine's economy obviously way better. Like, maybe the ultimate crisis averted. Creator did not lose 8 probes to a single Widowmine. That was the good part. But he didn't kill the medevac, for instance, either.
Yeah.
And that's also something that really hurts as a Protoss. When a medevac is that committed in your main base, in your natural, you're kind of supposed to gun it down.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Creator had his spidey sense tingling. He said, you know, HeroMarine's going to come through the top of the map. He's going to come in behind the third base into the natural, spread the Stalkers out, did not see it. But now there is a good force of Stalkers on the front. But a bit of pressure to find damage. He's going to blink forward, takes out a siege tank. Well worth it for one Stalker. And it is just one Stalker that goes down. One of them deep in the red does survive. Reaper comes in though, says, I'm going to fight fire with my own little fire. We'll get at least 1 probe if he commits. And indeed he does. Keeps the Reaper alive for later as well. One of the most annoying things. Whoa! He's going to get rid of Stim!
Not just Stim, perhaps Combat Shield as well. So Creator blinks into the main base when HeroMarine doesn't really expect it anymore. And not 1 but 2 tech labs get picked off. We're going to go for a recall. 1 or 2 Stalkers will probably still fall here. 2 Stalkers it is in the end. But yeah, buying that amount of time for yourself as a Protoss, because there's no way that Gabe is ever going to move out if he doesn't have Stim or Combat Shield. Storm will always finish up. We've got a proper game on our hands, and Creator has created a 13 worker lead on himself. So all that lost mining time, it doesn't really matter anymore, because HeroMarine simply cannot be aggressive.
I mean, you say he can't. Maybe that's the genius move. Already pull the boys right now and go with no Stim. No, that would be absolutely insane. I mean, he could posture a little bit, but he's basically forced to just build workers and try to land that third. This takes any fear away from Creator for the next few minutes, and Creator is happily making Storm, Charge. Interestingly, we don't see any Forge upgrades on the way, or a 4th base, so it feels like Creator might actually just try to bust him.
He does have a Forge, right? Yeah, I think he just dropped single Forge. He's going to fire up +1. Yeah, maybe some crazy aggression with Zealots, couple Storms, Archons, and +1. Wouldn't hate it. War Prism. It's important, obviously, that we don't take too much damage against the auto turret harass, as a couple probes do end up falling. This Reaper 7 minutes 30 seconds into the game, by the way. I do think that HeroMarine did a great job with his Reaper and trying to get as much value out of it as possible. Gabe's still doing an excellent job here in finding decent damage while not committing a whole lot. I believe a medevac got picked off there, so the Stalker's also finding some value. Pretty nerve-wracking game here for both players with Tournament Live on the line.
Oh, Creator, these Stalkers are valuable units. Picking off a Marine or a Marauder is good, but it's always fragile. Each Stalker costs about 1.5 times as much as a Marauder. It's a very expensive unit.
Yep, they are. Very quick goals on the side of HeroMarine, by the way. So if Creator wants to full send it with a couple of Storms, it does feel that with these quick goals, we should be okay. HeroMarine is now going to see it. This bunker is absolutely fantastic, by the way, because this army of Creator is not great in gunning down a bunker. HeroMarine does need to be very careful with chasing an army that consists of a couple of High Templars with a lot of energy.
Nice map control, though. The Raven's back in there. You can see that in the picture-in-picture. Shield Battery says no, no, though, and it does not get any damage. Stalker will push that Raven back as the transition starts. Creator now going into the 4th Nexus, 2nd Robo Bay. Feels like Creator may be far down in supply. You give him 2 minutes from now, his tech is going to be unstoppable. I think HeroMarine's going to need to push in the next minute.
Well, Gabe is already setting up a little bit of a drop, and I think he now spots his arm, and he's like, wait a minute, you're very Stalker heavy. I am not in any danger of dying against a crazy amount of Zealots. There is a good chance that you're trying to transition out of Storm and indeed go into those fancy, expensive Robo units. This is going to be a scary minute for Creator, because right now his army supply is pretty far down, and HeroMarine's army is just straight up better. And on top of that, a lot of the Stalkers pick are already better than Bruce, which means they have less micro potential than they normally do, because they don't have a lot of HP to begin with.
They're already very fragile units, now even more fragile. The Colossus Disruptors are starting, they're not here yet. Gabe's gonna send it! Stim's in the front, Bio, Ghost Widowmine's gonna get rid of that 4th base, main base at the same time. The drop is there. Storm comes in and cleans up the drop in the picture-in-picture. A couple of probes go down, the 4th Nexus is falling, a lot of probes are there. Creator needs to scramble back to the natural. He cannot lose control of this position. HeroMarine has a great setup. The Widowmines are all siege. Disruptor throws out a shot.
Single Disruptor shot. Actually only gets one Widowmine there. There's a good chance to land a couple of very big EMPs, but Gabe is patient He wants to land EMPs on the High Templar. He's not too worried about the straight-up army, but that was a good storm. But there is still a lot of Terran here. Creator definitely still on the ropes, already taking a lot of damage. And look at the mini-map. There is way more Terran coming in.
HeroMarine's got to be careful though. Those units are heavily wounded from the stims. He's got to be a little cautious as the Colossus emerge. It's been a good start to the fight. EMP's blanketing a lot of those units. Zealots coming in from all sides. Nice shots from HeroMarine. Still up 30 army supply, but wisely, he might want to back off. His medevacs are gone. He's only got 2 medevacs. His army is wounded. He can't keep committing into this angle. I think he's got to split up, buy some time, and keep on denying Creator's 4th base.
Yeah, I think Gabe can take it slow here. He's already found all the damage he could have looked for, right? He got a kill on the 4th Nexus. That was it again. So he got a bunch of probes in the main base, in the 4th as well. But I guess he's just really feeling this Widowmine setup that he's got here. That obviously makes it very difficult for a Protoss with a bunch of Zealots to run into it. But Creator is starting to clean this up, and Creator's army supply is looking a whole lot closer now than it did a while ago. I think Gabe needs to disengage for a little bit, maybe try to drop again, maybe go for that base on the top side of the map, as he does turn around, wants to get the Disruptor badly, and he will not get it.
No concussive. It's about to finish now, but Widowmine dropping the main at the same time! Gabe keeping the action on. Cannon goes down. Luckily, that worker line was already so wounded for Creator that only 5 went down, but Creator's economy is in the dumps. 58 probes versus 73 STVs. HeroMarine is going to be floating that 4th base out. He's got 2-2, second starport. He's got everything going for him right now. HeroMarine is smothering Creator.
Yeah, we kind of needed a recall there. Creator knows he's already taken a lot of economic damage. He cannot afford to lose this base too. There are still Widowmines everywhere. Gabe with the forward stim guns down one of these Disruptors. The Colossus is still exposed, but they are protected by some High Templars. The storms are massive. Creator is hanging in there with a couple of excellent choices. I do think he needs to be a bit careful maybe with chasing. He sees a lot of low HP Terran, but I don't think Creator has the kind of army to just run to the other side of the map.
Economically though, Creator's in such a bad spot that he might feel like he has to get some more done. He is trying to probe up behind it, rebuilding his Sniper Core, extended Thermal Lance finally on the way. He didn't have that upgrade. He's got 3 Colossus out, but no range on them. That coming in will be a big thing to turn things around. HeroMarine still on 80 workers. Stalkers are going down, and those upgrades kicking in for HeroMarine are going to give him the upgrade advantage for the first time in a while.
Yep, there are still not too many observers out. I believe there's 1 observer at the army, but Gabe has really picked up on that. That Creator is not very heavy on the observers. So we're going to drop a couple of mines, and these mines are permanently cloaked with mines. This is the 1 observer, by the way, so it's at least in the correct location. But yeah, this is very difficult to deal with as a Protoss if you don't have cannons everywhere. And Creator doesn't really want to spend his money on cannons right now, because we look at that supply. HeroMarine is maxed out, and he's maxed out with an upgrade advantage. Creator did a great job in hanging in there big, but he's going to have to pull off another phenomenal hold because Gabe is coming.
Gabe has a gigantic 120 supply army right now. 2-2 upgrades will be finished. Doom Drop slides into the main base, and if you use recall to jump here, you will not be able to recall to the top of the map. It might even still be on cooldown.
I think it's still on cooldown because he used it before. Yep, no recall is available. We do have a storm. HeroMarine is going to try to attack the main base and the base on the top side of the map at the same time. The Forge will fall. There is a Protoss army here, and that is an absolutely fantastic Purification Nova that will probably keep Creator in this game. What a shot there with your tournament live on the line pick, because that army of HeroMarine was strong enough to take the fight.
Indeed it was. Those 3 Colossus, those Disruptors standing strong. 12 probes did go down in all of that. That's unfortunate. Prism does get caught going across the map, trying to chase this force down. He wants to catch the wounded Bio, but HeroMarine's being too good. He's evading those catches. As I say it, the medevacs start to get shot down, but Creator with a bit of misfocus fire there didn't take out more than 1 of the medevacs before they unloaded.
That's what we mentioned before. Now the Colossus are left behind as well. They are very exposed. A couple of Novas fly forward. They will connect the Immortal DT and the Zealot are doing whatever they can to keep these important robo units alive. And that went alrighty for Creator, but in the main base he did end up losing all the Stalkers. And with the 53 probe economy, it's so hard for Creator to rebuild all these units. He does have 5 Colossus though, Pig, so he's absolutely allowed to dream. With 5 Colossus and a couple of Disruptors, there is still a chance. I think it wouldn't hurt for HeroMarine to slow the game down a tiny bit and just get a few more Vikings, because that's the one issue that I think he's currently facing. 5 Colossus.
That's a lot of Colossus. This counterattack could be scary. Gabe has shown some real killer instincts so far. He does walk forward, takes a big Disruptor shot. Was that an overcommitment for Gabe? All 5 Colossuses standing strong. He only took out 1 Disruptor. His advantage is almost all workers right now. Creator has a moment right now. The upgrades are kicking in, but HeroMarine's army is small. HeroMarine needs to pull back, give up ground, and buy time. His economy is absolutely gargantuan, but he needs time. If HeroMarine fights out here too early, he could let this game slip away.
It is double starport, and Gabe can obviously click on these units, and he will see that he's got a 2-upgrade advantage, but he does bleed out another Viking. The second Viking falls down too. HeroMarine is trying to save the bunker a little while longer. HeroMarine is building 4 Vikings at a time. It just feels that he needs 8 Vikings before he takes the fight, but he keeps on fighting with 4 or 5 Vikings.
Oh, he gets a Colossus. Cute snag there from HeroMarine. And by hanging out at the front, it is scaring Creator a little bit. But Creator is almost even in army supply, warping in more Stalkers. The Colossus army needs to get it done. Creator is not probing. He does not have a follow-up. He's got to beat Gabe right here, right now.
Second Colossus goes down. That means only 3 Colossi are remaining. It really feels that it comes down to that 1 Disruptor one more time, because with every second that goes by, HeroMarine is closer and closer to advancing to the next round. It's kind of now or never for Creator, and I think he knows it, but that was not the shot. And now the Vikings are starting to do that thing. The Archons cannot save the Protoss army anymore. It seems that Gabe will make it 4 in a row against Protoss here at the ESL Summer SC2 Masters as the final few Stalkers. They just don't have the upgrades, Big.
Absolutely insane hard-fought series. But Gabe showed some real killer instinct, and he does manage to get it.